What's a Wii U? That was the response of one of my coworkers the day after I got my Wii U on launch day in 2012. He was an avid gamer and had no idea what a Wii U was. He was not the last person I'd hear make a similar statement, but it was his reaction that caused me to realize that perhaps this whole Wii U thing may not work out. 10 years ago today, Nintendo launched the Wii U. It was Nintendo's very first HD home console. It introduced the concept of playing your home console games away from the TV. It followed up and was compatible with the legendarily successful Nintendo Wii. And its library contains many of the best-selling and most highly praised Nintendo games of all time. Super Mario 3D World has sold over 15 million copies. New Super Mario Bros. U has sold over 24 million copies. The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild has sold over 28 million copies, and Mario Kart 8 has sold over 50 million copies. Just between these four games, we're looking at over 117 million units of software sold. Unfortunately, only 21 million of those 117 million actually sold on Wii U. The rest sold on its successor, the Nintendo Switch. In fact, of the top 30 best-selling Nintendo Switch games, 10 of them are either remakes or very direct sequels to Wii U games, often with only minimal changes made and reusing assets and engines. Much has been said on why the Wii U failed, and I could, and perhaps one day will, produce a full-length documentary on the development and life of the Wii U system. But today that isn't what we're doing. Today I want to celebrate the Wii U on its 10th anniversary. It is a system that revolutionized how we play games, served as a first home to some of the most celebrated Nintendo games of all time, and in many ways served as a prototype for what was to come. My name's John Raridan, you're watching NWR TV, and I'd like you to join me as we remember the successes of Nintendo's Wii U. Nintendo was in an odd spot as the Wii generation wound down. They had single-handedly created a brand new gaming audience. At the same time, the traditional gaming audience had been growing but largely separate from Nintendo. Their follow-up to the Wii would need to appeal to both that core audience that they had lost, while not alienating the more casual audience that they had built. It is this effort to appeal to what would appear to be opposing crowds that influenced what the Wii U would ultimately become. Full backwards compatibility with Nintendo Wii software and accessories for fans of the previous system. HD graphics capabilities generally on par with the then late generation PS3 and Xbox 360 systems, to allow for third-party ports from these core platforms. The primary controller would feature all of the same inputs as the Xbox and PlayStation platforms, once again allowing for easy transitions for core gamers to the Wii U. It would also feature less intimidating inputs such as motion controls and touch, carried over from the Wii and Nintendo DS respectively. As a final touch, the controller itself would feature a large screen that could be used either as a second screen when playing on your TV, or as a primary screen to play your games entirely on the controller. The Wii U took what had until then been a handheld experience and brought it to home console gaming. But thanks to being physically separate from the TV, the Wii U opened up new possibilities for dual-screen gaming. Nowhere was this more immediately realized than in Nintendo's own Wii U launch title, Nintendo Land. Nintendo Land offered a variety of Nintendo-themed attractions built around the concept of a theme park. Each used different elements of the Wii U gamepad to illustrate the versatility of the system. Metroid Blast and The Legend of Zelda Battle Quest explored the concept of asymmetric cooperative multiplayer. In Metroid Blast, the player using the gamepad controlled Samus's gunship on the gamepad screen, while the other players using Wii remotes controlled a multitude of bounty hunters. Together they'd fight off waves of enemies. Some tasks were better handled by the bounty hunters, while others were more naturally suited to the gunship. But in all instances, working together was crucial. Similarly, The Legend of Zelda Battle Quest gave Wii Remote users a sword and shield with controls based on The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword, while the gamepad user had a bow and arrow. The Wii Remote users were best suited for dealing with melee threats, while the gamepad user would be required to deal with enemies at range. Players needed to protect each other based on the strengths and weaknesses of their abilities. Other attractions, such as Mario Chase, turned this concept competitive, with the gamepad user facing off against several Wii Remote users. Mario Chase was a bit like a game of inverse hide-and-seek. The gamepad player got a head start and would run off into a level to hide. The rest of the players would then need to find and catch them in order to win. The twist, however, was built right into the hardware. By nature of the gamepad player having their own screen while everyone else played on the TV, the gamepad user could easily glance up and see what their pursuers see, but their own view was obscured thanks to their individual screen. A few other games in Nintendo Land also built off this concept, but few had the frantic energy of Mario Chase. In fact, back in 2013, my own bachelor party quickly became an event centered around endless rounds of Mario Chase. For those who didn't own a Wii U, assuming they knew of its existence at all, Mario Chase, and by extension Nintendo Land, offered an experience that had never been available before. It was truly an entirely new form of video game, a statement that can rarely be earnestly uttered. Of course, the dual-screen setup would also factor into single-player experiences, and this could take a wide variety of forms. The most common and arguably most useful implementation was to clean up the on-screen HUD, and essentially remove the need to pause and sort through inventories. Many games use the gamepad screen to display a large interactive map. Games like Xenoblade Chronicles X allowed complex mining networks, quest systems, and more to all be managed in real time without ever pausing the game, simply by glancing down and interacting directly with that second screen. Others turned the second screen into its own unique mechanic. Zombie U would require the player to perform any task that required their full attention on the gamepad, purposefully taking their attention away from the TV where a zombie or some other danger could creep up on them. The behavior of the player looking up from the digital backpack as they dug for an item, or turning away from a number pad on a locked door to check the TV to see if anything was sneaking up on them, perfectly emulated the behavior of the character on screen and made the experience that much more immersive. But of course, dual-screen gaming wasn't the only appeal. The Wii U offered what was, at the time, a unique new promise: taking your full-powered console games handheld at least as long as you didn't stray too far away. The majority of games supported what was referred to as off-TV play, allowing the feed from the TV screen to be sent to the gamepad instead. The 480p screen and limited range may feel quaint in comparison to modern handheld devices such as Nintendo's own Switch or Valve's Steam Deck, but at the time the concept of having the full power of an HD system behind a game you could play on a handheld device was incredible. The streaming technology itself was proprietary tech developed by Nintendo and Broadcom, and ultimately served as a significant step towards today's efforts to make cloud-based gaming a widely accepted reality. It may have only been able to travel a room or two away from where your actual Wii U system was, but developments made to transmit that ultra-low latency yet clear image back and forth would have a long-lasting effect on gaming across every platform. The Wii U's legacy may ultimately be one of market failure, but perhaps not as much as we'd have once believed. The influences of its design, specifically off-TV play, are immediately obvious in its follow-up, the Nintendo Switch, which took this concept and turned it truly portable, by reversing the idea to house the guts of the system in the portable half and optionally dock it to play on your TV. The streaming tech of the Wii U gamepad would go on to help pave the way for future cloud-based game streaming services and other forms of remote play. The vast majority of games developed for the Wii U have found a new home on Nintendo's Switch, illustrating that while they may not have sold well initially, the quality of the Wii U's games need never to have been in doubt. Mario Kart 8, the best-selling game on the Wii U, is also the best-selling game on the Nintendo Switch, and continues to receive new content updates to this day, over 8 years after its initial release. The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, though it would ultimately bridge the gap between the two systems by launching on both Wii U and Switch on March 3, 2017, was first designed as a Wii U exclusive title. It has since been widely praised as one of the greatest games ever made. Thus, the Wii U's primary legacy has been its games, many of which have long outlasted the system itself, though that doesn't mean it isn't worth revisiting the original hardware. At least for now, a few key Wii U titles remain exclusive to the platform. The massive open-world RPG Xenoblade Chronicles X ultimately served as both a strong design influence as well as technical resource for The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Star Fox Zero, though many criticize its demanding controls, in many ways exemplified the possibilities of multi-screen gaming. And of course, Nintendo Land, an incredible game that is so deeply tied to the features of the Wii U, it would likely be impossible to ever bring it forward to another system exactly as it was in 2012. The Wii U era in many ways represents Nintendo backed into a corner, and the wild success of its games on more popular hardware shows just how hard their developers were working to drive interest. With the system itself struggling, every game needed to be its best, and many of them are now hailed as some of the finest in their respective franchises. While I can't say that I earnestly hope for another Nintendo system to struggle quite like the Wii U struggled, I think it's worth praising the Wii U for the innovation that it brought forth. Some intentionally, through the design of the system itself, others out of a fight for relevance. While the system itself may have been a failure, its legacy is clearly one of incredible success.
以上で開封の儀を終わります。ありがとうございました。
Thank you very much for watching, and if you owned a Wii U back in 2012, or maybe you just picked one up recently, we'd love to hear your favorite things about the system on its 10th anniversary. If you enjoyed the video, consider giving it a like, maybe subscribe to Nintendo World Report TV, and check out NintendoWorldReport.com for a whole lot more. You can chat with us about the Wii U, or anything else Nintendo, in our Discord. There's a link in the description. And don't forget to stick around for information on our Patreon. My name's John Reardon, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time. This video was made possible by our generous supporters on Patreon. Did you know that Nintendo World Report is funded directly by fans like you? When you support Nintendo World Report on Patreon, you get immediate access to multiple exclusive podcasts every month, exclusive Discord channels, an early look at select content, and more, all for as little as $1 a month. Check out patreon.com/NWR for all the details.